Welcome back, brothers and sisters. I am Braden. This is Langley Outdoors Academy, the place where we not only talk about what's going on in the gun world, but also how we're going to fix it together. And the content that I'm going to bring you tonight, this is breaking information. This is coming from the 6th Circuit Court. The bump stock ban has been ruled unconstitutional yet again. Now, this is extremely interesting. There's lots of nuance. Everything's going to be linked in the description box below. And please share this out because I'm going to provide as much as I can to provide clarity on this topic of what can be kind of confusing. And if you are new or you are a returning viewer, please consider hitting that like button, subscribing to the channel, and making sure that you turn that notification bell on. We need as many of you as possible to get in here. Make sure you spread out this information so we can pass the blessing of the Second Amendment along to the next generation together. And thank you so much in advance for your consideration. And this fantastic news is brought to you by SDI. Now, I know a lot of you out there like to upgrade and modify your own guns. And if you're looking to turn a hobby into a career, Sonoran Desert Institute can help. Their online programs cover everything from gunsmithing, ballistics, woodworking and finishes, shooting sports management, and more. Plus, all the tools and materials are shipped directly to your door. There's never been a better time to make a hobby into a career, so what are you waiting for? There's a link right down there in the description box, and thank you so much to SDI for making this content possible. But my brothers and sisters, as I mentioned in the introduction, we have a ruling coming on the bump stock case. Now, a little backstory, Trump basically got the ATF to do the whole executive fiat thing where they use Chevron deference to interpret what a machine gun is and what isn't. Bump stocks became part of a machine gun, and therefore they got banned. That's the extremely high level. But it's been working its way through the court systems, and there's lots of things that I'm going to walk you through. But here's the high level according to a site that's right down there, Congressional Review Service. Check this out. That actually might not be right. That's CRS. I can't remember the exact acronym. In a series of decisions between 2019 and 2022, the U.S. Courts of Appeals for the 10th and the D.C. Circuits rejected APA challenges to the rule, and the 6th Circuit divided evenly on a case that resulted in an affirmance of the district court ruling upholding the rule. Now, the rule in this reference is the bump stock ban. In contrast, on January 6, 2023, the 5th Circuit, sitting in bank, held that the rule violates the APA and an act of Congress is required to prohibit bump stocks, creating a circuit split with the earlier decisions. So that's where we've been so far. And again, everything is linked. It's actually an interesting read if you want to find some history on this. But this is the other piece you need to understand as we go forward in this decision, because this is important. The rule of lenity. This is huge. The rule of lenity. The rule of lenity is a principle used in criminal law, also called rule of strict construction, stating that when a law is unclear or ambiguous, the court should apply it in the way that has the most favorable to the defendant, or to construe the statute against the state. Now, that's the first piece. It should go to the defendant because it's ambiguous, it's not clear. That's crucial. All right? This next part's massive. First, the separation of powers. Does that sound familiar? Lauren Boebert got on the House floor and said Congress is being violated through the separation of powers by the ATF, the executive branch. It's all tying together. Thomas Massie did the same thing. We covered all of this on this channel. As it limits the scope of statutory language in penal statutes and does not allow the courts to establish the contours of a crime and its punishment. Secondly, the rule of lenity stems from the wish to protect the legislature's constitutional lawmaking prerogative and to limit the court's encroachment on a legislative function. That's it right there. You've got the separation of powers. Tie goes to the defendant. Sorry, boo, you're losing. This is why I say we're going to fight every single day. This is why we're heading in the right direction, because everything is stacked against the ATF in this. There's also shades of what has been happening recently with convictions of YouTubers around what is and what is not a machine gun, a piece of metal or a bump stock or a sliver of metal. Whatever you want to call it, you're getting into splitting hairs and you're fine-tuning actual outcomes that affect people. The court here is saying, you got nothing. You can see why the bump stock would have translation into all of these. But let's continue, because this is important. Today, the U.S. Court of Appeals for the 6th Circuit decided Hardin v. Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms, concluding that a bump stock is not a machine gun part, prohibited under federal law. Not a machine gun part. Well, if bump stocks aren't machine gun parts, auto key cards, lightning links, slivers of metal, FRTs, wide open triggers, all those wouldn't be wouldn't be machine guns either. You see how important this is. ATF's entire case crumbles if this goes through. If the SCOTUS picks this up, here you go. And right now, you've got a bit of a split causing some serious issues. But This is according to Judge Gilman, one of the judges who wrote, and then I'm going to do Judge Bush next. In this situation, the rule of lenity that is applicable to criminal offenses requires us to rule in the favor of Hardin against the ATF. So that rule of lenity, that's why I gave you the definition so you knew what it was. Tie goes to the defendant is a very high-level, easy way to say it. It's not exactly that, but it's a good example. As explained by Judge Murphy in Gun Owners of America Incorporated v. Garland, the best reading of the statute is that Congress never gave the ATF, quote, the power to expand the law banning machine guns through legislative shortcut, or the ATF's rule at issue in this appeal. Simply put, under the statute as it currently reads, the addition of a bump stock to a rifle clearly does not make it a machine gun. The reason that is so incredibly important is because if you allow the ATF to interpret federal law through that's written and passed by Congress, they're now making laws. That's a violation of separation of powers. What have I been hitting on this channel for a year and a half to 2 years since the ghost gun ban initiative came out? This entire thing is based off of interpretation by changing definitions using something called Chevron deference. This entire thing, this house of cards, is built upon that interpretation of ability. That thing goes away, this entire thing crumbles down to the ground, and Biden's entire legacy is left in the dust because that's the only way that they've been able to push anything unconstitutional against you for your Second Amendment rights, because Congress has not been doing it with the exception of the Senate bipartisan deal. This is a really big deal. I got one more thing for you. This is from Judge Bush. Therefore, even accepting, as does the majority opinion, that the statute could reasonably be read either way as to the legality of bump stocks, the statute must be read under the rule of lenity to exclude a bump stock rifle from the definition of a machine gun. So you've got the ATF executive bureaucracy basically interpreting law and making law whole cloth from that interpretation by changing definitions. Then you have the rule of lenity that is applied to all of these cases. That's a pretty standard statute approach. You have nothing if you're on the ATF side. Now you've got the Fifth Circuit and the Sixth Circuit both saying it's an unconstitutional ban. Now what's interesting about this is the Sixth Circuit, if the ATF requests, they can go en banc and then they can start to do different things the same way they did before and split 8-8 again. I'm going to keep my eye on this. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below, and hopefully this is SCOTUS bound pretty soon, because this would tear the entire philosophy of the ATF asunder. Let me know what you think, and I'll see you on the next one. I'm Braden. See you later.